الله أكبر الله أكبر حي على الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر
Islam was?
حي على الصلاة
I rise, giving all praises to Allah, the Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the boundless universes. I extend the highest of honors to His holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder, the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam? I extend high honors as well to his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did the deep warn and stir up the nations. Islam? Extending high honors to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the green five-pointed star in the center, five-pointed star in the center. These 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam? Sending honors to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you, the Moors, compound interest. Islam? Sending honors to noble Sheik staff, noble Vanguard staff who keep the peace, and giving honors to you that those obeys, but without you there is no Moorish movement. Islam? How's everyone on the holy day? Praise Allah, praise Allah. I like to begin just demonstrating the front Quran, front and the back wording of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and just for clarification purposes, in terms of rules and usages, this is not the Circle 7. This is the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The emblem that's on the front is called the Circle 7, but this is the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam? All right. You will find out pursuant to Act 2. All meetings must be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7. And love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. That, according to the Circle 7, is a who, not a what. Gotta mean something to you later. Islam, Moors?
Islam.
Right? It says, the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, divinely prepared by the noble prophet, Drew Ali, by the guidance of his father God Allah, the great God of the universe, to redeem man from his sinful and fallen stage of humanity back to the highest plane of life with his father God Allah. Islam? The reverse cover. The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Know yourself and your father God Allah, that you may learn to love instead of hate. Every man needs to worship under his own vine and fig tree. Islam? The uniting of Asia. Prophet Noble Drew Ali compiled this text in a divine fashion in order to give us holy instructions as to how we are expected to move, not just as Moorish Americans, but as Asiatics, descendants of the Asiatic race, and as American citizens. Islam? Right? This pamphlet contains our quality and character. 2 words out of an often repeated definition by Moorish Americans, which is nationality, which is the quality or character of the fact of a person belonging to a nation or state. Islam? So, relative to that quality and character, we must get into, what comprises that. Islam? If I would draw from Moorish literature, in the article entitled, Prophet Makes Plea to the Nation, or to Nations. It reads, it says, our divine and national movement stands for the specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And I, the Prophet, am applying to all, and for those taking notes, feel free to write these down. Loyal, it's going to be 4 categories. Loyal, faithful Moors, that's number 2. 3 would be members, and 4 would be American citizens. Again, I, the Prophet, am applying to all loyal, faithful Moors, members, and the American citizens to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity among the Asiatic race and nation. For I've suffered much and severely in the past through misunderstanding of what the movement was dedicated to. Islam, Moors?
Islam.
Now, like to pause there. Like right now, in the era of this electrified age on the internet, where people are seeking Prophet Noble Drew Ali online, and the things that you'll find out what people think is the Moorish movement on the internet is a sharp contrast from what it actually is, right? And we as a movement are suffering much and severely as to the misunderstanding what people think this movement is. Islam? But we owe our Prophet, and we owe all the the great Moorish forefathers and foremothers that came before us to represent this movement in the best possible fashion. Islam, Moors? Right? The prophet says, it is the great God Allah alone that guides the destiny of this divine and national movement. I know all true American citizens, write that down, true American citizens. The prophet is very specific in his wording. I know all true American citizens are identified by national descent names to answer and apply to the free national constitution of this, write this wording down, free national republic of the United States of America. That free national republic, next to that you can write Article 4, Section 4. That's U.S. Constitution, where it says that this form of government should be a Republican form of government. And Republican in that sense does not mean Republican Party. Islam? It's just, reminiscent of the fact that, this is a form of government where it's representative government. We elect representatives to represent our interests politically. Islam? Says, that's why I am calling on all true national citizens. Write that phrase down. True national citizens. To help me morally and financially in my great work I am doing to help this national government. For without a free national name, with a descent flag of your forefathers, there is not a national divine title of the government in which we live. This is from your true and divine prophet unto all American and foreign sympathizers. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam or
Islam.
Right? On your nationality card it says, we are all true and divine prophets. Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius. Islam? Here in this phrase you have, this is from your true and divine prophet, from your true and divine prophet. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali falls in the same line of the true and divine prophets that we honor. Islam? All right? So here you have different classifications of citizens. You have different classifications and vibrations of people that will help not only this movement further along, but various different classifications of American citizens and various different classifications of ones that are part of this national government. Islam? Now, this is something, that must be looked into with a matter of correcting it, because in other free national governments, when you're a citizen or a subject of that government, you have all rights and titles attached to that, right? So there is no, partial citizenship. Either you're a citizen or you're not. There's no gray areas. Islam? Here in the United States of America, the game is allowed to be played of, yeah, you're a citizen, but you're allowed to call yourself black. Without a descent flag of your forefathers. Without any verification. There was a wonderful video that was circulating earlier. Brother Raphael originally posted it that I saw, and I shared it. There was a brother who was addressing a crowd of Asiatics. He said, and I'm paraphrasing because I didn't see the initial setup, but he says, I'll name a particular nationality. You name the country that they're from. So he said Nigerian. They said Nigeria. He said Korean, and they said Korea. He said Italian, and they said he said Egyptian, and they said, and then he said black, and then what happened? Everybody looked at each other like, what do we say to that? And there was no response, because there is no response to that. And they followed up with a cartoon saying that there was no such thing as Black History Month, because there's no such thing as Black History. Islam? Now again, to our brother chairman's point, we don't use this to browbeat our people, because again, most of us were born without nationality. This is not something we use, as a whipping point, to be condescending, with our people about. But just in the sense of, of awareness, because if we can't get our people to realize that nationality is important, the concept of citizenship is off the table. The concept of being active in the government politically is off the table. See, what we're at war with, Brother Yosef demonstrated a few weeks ago about, the principalities in high places, wickedness in high places. The principalities that we're fighting is the fact that it's the victimized mentality that, that manifests itself as one's thinking that they are disenfranchised. Islam? All right? So, this is the Negro, black, and colored beast that we're fighting. Because the Prophet told us that, he instructed us that Negro, black, colored, Ethiopian are not just names, but they're also principles. Islam? So you have ones that, live by these principles, right? And, 9 times out of 10 because they don't know any other way. Islam, Morris? Right? I like to draw from the true and divine prophet that most of our people know as Jesus. In Mark chapter 4, Ecclesian text. Mark chapter 4 is known as the parable of the sower. The word parable, Brother Chandler touched on it. We know the word parable as a spiritual allegory, right? The word parable comes from the word parabola, which means mathematical formula. Any master that's instructing by way of parables is constructing a formula in mind to get the people to start the process of thinking, to initiate the process of being rational. Islam?
Islam.
In the parable of the sower, the brother Jesus gives a particular mathematical formula. And it says, and Jesus, Matthew 4:1, and Jesus began to teach by the lake. The crowd that gathered around him was so large that he got into a boat and sat in it out on the lake, while all the people were along the shore at the water's edge. He taught them many things by parables, and in his teaching said, listen, a farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on the rocky places, where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants, so they did not bear grain. Still other seed fell on good soil. It came up, grew, and produced a crop, some multiplying 30, some 60, some 100 times. Then Jesus said, whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. Islam? Now, you have to remember, anytime you're dealing with Jesus instructing, there was always, again, various different classifications of people, as the prophet, delineated those classifications earlier.
Yeah.
Different classifications of people that were around him. So you had his inner 12, who were like, his most intimate companions in the sense of him giving him the higher truths of what he was explaining. And the outer group from that, outside the 12, and then you had the general populace, right? So going forward, it says, that phrase, whoever has ears, let him hear, means that the inner aspect of what that parable meant, those that were present had, if they really had ears, they could hear the inner meaning of what was being said. Islam says, instruction 10, or verse 10, when he was alone, the 12 and the others, so this is, the inner group, around him asked him about the parables. He told them, the secret of the kingdom of God has been given to you, but to those on the outside, everything is said in parables, so that they may be ever seeing, but never perceiving, and hearing, but never understanding, otherwise they might turn and be forgiven. And Jesus said to them, don't you understand this parable? How will you understand any parable? And then he gives the breakdown. He said, the farmer sows the word. Some people are like seed along the path where the word is sown. As soon as they hear it, Shaitan or Satan comes and takes away the word that was sown in them. Others, like the seed sown on rocky places, hear the word and at once they receive it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. Still others, like seed sown among thorns, hear the word, but the worries of this life, the deceitfulness of wealth, and the desires for other things come in and choke the word, making it unfruitful. Others, like the seed sown on good soil, hear the word, accept it, and produce a crop, some 30, some 60, some 100 times what is sown. Islam? Now, what the prophet Jesus is going into is that, something that the prophet Muhammad camelbacked on, and the angel Gabriel, revealed to the prophet Muhammad. He's like, your duty is only to warn them, right? Your duty is not to, make it your personal life's mission, that if people choose to be obstinate to what is being revealed to them, to stop your life because of that.
Islam.
That's not even, if you think that's what this is, you got it twisted, right? Because of us being, olive toned, bearing this melanin, we tend to be a very empathetic people, what I'm saying? We should be, a people that cares about the condition of our people, right?
Right.
However, there's a caveat emptor with that.
Absolutely.
Okay, that caveat emptor meaning let the buyer beware, right? Is that there are certain conditions that come along with that dissemination of the truth. And you going out and demonstrating with the people, they must care. Your job is not to convert anyone. That's not what this is. Your job is to represent a certain truth, and if they can see wisdom in that truth, right, then praise Allah, right? Your job is not to, as the chairman, was driving home as he was demonstrating the hammer. Your job is not to, come in and make them Moorish American Muslims. It's not your job, because if they see the wisdom and what you're saying, that may be a part of their journey. It may not be. Part of their journey may be to see the Prophet's platform and assist from afar, right? You even have that in Jesus' ministry when he sent his disciples out to go demonstrate, and they came back and was like, there's those that's casting out demons in your name, but they're not with us. He said, anybody that's not against us is for us.
Absolutely.
So we have to learn alliances. We have to learn, we have to develop a greater worldview in terms of everybody may not be a fez-wearing, turban-wearing Moorish American Muslim. We have to accept that. Islam? In the time of the Prophet, everybody wasn't that. Prophet had many people in the private, private side of the society who assisted him that was not necessarily holy day meeting attending Moorish American Muslims. Islam? But when it came to support the Prophet politically, they were there.
Islam.
You see? And that's a portion of some of the things that we'll be going into, getting our people to realize that, right? And that parable or that mathematical formula about those different types of seeds that exist, all right, kind of explains that, right? Because again, in putting our people under somewhat of an investigation, you never know what a person is going through. They might not be in a position to commit at that level.
Right.
Islam, and we have to meet our people where they're at, right? So you'll have your diehard zealots that I want to sign up for the full program, right? And praise Allah for that, because there's some of those in this room, all right? But we're looking at the change occurs with the masses of our people, right? And to be able to affect them, we have to adapt ourselves and not be so rigid. The only way the tree is able to withstand the storm is because it can bend, right? If it gets dry right, it snaps. It gets so rigid that it can't bend, it snaps. You see, we have to have a certain amount of adaptability and mutability in our dissemination of this knowledge. Islam, right? He further gives another analogy, another parable. He said to them, do you bring in a lamp to put it under a bowl or a bed? Instead, don't you put it on its stand? For whatever is hidden is meant to be disclosed, and whatever is concealed meant to be brought out in the open. If anyone has ears to hear, let him hear. Consider carefully what you hear, he continued. With the measure you use, it will be measured to you, and even more. Whoever has will be given more. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. Islam Moors? All right. Moving forward, a few more verses in this. He also said, this is what the kingdom of God is like. A man scatters his seed on the ground. Night and day, whether he sleeps or gets up, the seed sprouts and grows, though he does not know how. All by itself, the soil produces grain. First the stalk, then the head, then the full kernel in the head. As soon as the grain is ripe, he puts the sickle to it because the harvest has come. Islam Moors? All right? So now, relative to that, we must know that there's a time for everything, right? A lot of times, straight off, we want to reap a harvest when we haven't planted the seeds properly. Islam, and the work has to be put in, and more importantly, the work has to be put in within ourselves. You see, there's nothing in this Holy Quran, the Moorish Science of America, that allows you to take this record and beat others with it. You apply this record to your own life. Islam, you have to become the message within its sacred pages. If not, then your message can come off as condescending. Islam, all right. So the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is very big in this department, in getting the Moorish Americans to be accountable. Nothing in any of his writings, which I appreciate him for, it deals with victimized mentality. So you don't really get us blaming other people for our condition in our writings, right? It puts it back on us because we're squanderers of wealth, and that wealth happens in many different manifestations. I was here earlier, and I saw it was a gentleman of Asian descent. I don't know which particular nationality, but he pulled in the parking lot, and he was looking at the location on the end here, and the location right on the other side of us. and looked at both. He got on the phone and called some people, whatever. And I saw the owner of this particular plaza pull up, and they were talking and whatever. And I was just seeing the whole thing going on. And at the end of it, he walked away with some paperwork. You know what I mean? Point is that those who understand what nationality is are moving and working all around us, right? And while we're taking time to figure out what this is, those who know what it is are building.
Right.
Islam? So, we can take the time to waste and try to be deep and philosophical or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're going to turn around and look and, every square inch around us will be owned, right? And we won't have much of a vested interest. And when that happens, you get moved out, you get uprooted and moved, right? Because you're not, as, the forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey said, you won't be classed as though one of those worthwhile citizens.
Undesirable.
Right, thereby making you undesirable. Right? Meaning that they don't want you there because they don't know what you're going to do. Because if you couldn't take advantage of your own circumstance and make do for it for self and kind, why would you want it around our business endeavors? Because we don't know what you would do. Islam? But see, these are the principles of nationality, and it's a beautiful thing when you understand it. It's a beautiful thing when you see it. It can become quite, or slight. I won't say quite. It becomes slightly frustrating when you're dealing with the condition of our people. Again, Brother Raphael put up a phenomenal post earlier dealing with our people suffering from PTSD, right? Which goes back to the chairman's demonstration a few weeks ago, right? That traumatic stress syndrome where, much of what we go through is because of the trauma that we've gone through. I'm not just talking about slavery. With some of us, it was our own childhoods. You know what I'm saying? And within that, how many of us was actually sat down to try to find answers to what that was? You see? Instead, you be all right. Just go work it out. Stop complaining. Stop being weak. You'll figure it out. And that's what we're throwing a society like and expected, to be able to work together. But it's kind of almost like, pit bulls who were bred, to fight one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, pit bulls, this is a good dog, like on his own. He's not like that of his nature. But when you inbreed them and a bunch of other stuff, feed them gunpowder and all types of stuff, cocaine. I've seen people rub the dog's nose in cocaine, have them and go and just ready to, you know what I mean? But that particular process is done to engender hatred within the animal for its own kind. Islam. So it's no strange happening when we see us, in the circumstance that we're dealing with out there, and we, it tends to be a little bit more difficult for us to gather than other groups. But it just goes to show that we have to work that much harder. We have to exhibit that much more love, that much more tolerance, that much more unity, that much more patience, with one another in order to get things off the ground and see it all the way through. Islam? And and that's the thing too, is that the degree of constancy, which is consistency, to see a thing through unto its end, right? The Prophet says, in our Quran it says, "I will not play the fool by the halves," meaning that when you do a thing, you do it all the way to its end. You don't half do things. Islam? So we use the term half measures. You don't do a thing in a half measure. You see it all the way out. Militarily, when you research like a lot of the battles that were fought by our Moorish forefathers, the battles where they lost were battles where the initial objective wasn't seen all the way through to the end. And at some point it got disrupted and their enemy was able to exploit that. Islam? All right? So, don't get into the thing of playing fool by the halves. Stand for the complete aspect. You know what I'm saying? Once you're a proclaimed Moorish American monster, at that point, now you stand for the full program of what he brought, right? But we have patience for those, who refer to themselves as Negro, Black, Colored, etc. You might have to go to a Black History Month program just to be supportive of your people, right? You may know the inherent follies that might be within that, but you're there for your people. We seek not to break rank with our people. You understand what I'm saying? This is not what this is. It's not, what we don't do is take the Moorish Science Temple of America and hold it up so high that our people can't attain it.
Islam.
Islam, Morris?
Islam.
An interesting part about, I said we were speaking about the 2020 census, and we're not going too far into this, but, we have to make sure that how we move as Moorish Americans, however that census form is filled out will determine how certain funds are allocated within government. We have to make sure that what we do doesn't rob our people because we put something different down. That's another side of that has to be calculated in. See, anybody know what a think tank is? Have I heard that term before? What is a think tank? And if you could give me an example of a think tank in American society.
Islam, arise, giving the most high praise to Allah, and the highest of honor to His noble and divine prophet, Heru
Islam, what do you recognize?
Islam. Think tank, in its purest form, is a group of individuals that come together to generate ideas, to exchange ideas towards usually a specific shared goal. The first or the most powerful think tank that I can think of is can't remember the author's name, but it is the forming of a mastermind, mastermind group, so that you can, and specifically it is to help or combine forces so that you can build businesses.
That's not. Amongst other things.
What was it? I can't.
You don't need to think. You did good.
But yeah.
Thank you very much. To give you, a few examples of think tanks, write down the RAND Corporation, RAND Corporation. Another one is the Brookings Institute, BROOKINGS Institute. We have an Asiatic economist by the name of Claude Anderson. He started a think tank for Asiatics known as the Harvest Institute. Okay. Moorish Americans have a think tank known as Ali's Men. Okay. Now, generally, a think tank is a group of private citizens who get together to, crunch scenarios and ideas and, unfold them and flesh them all the way out to see where a particular plan or agenda, would end up, from start to finish. See? They generally take that and then turn it over to the public side. And the public side, because on the public side, you don't have the time to do a lot of things. So they'll outsource that out to a private group, and they'll fund them. And then what they do is they crunch the numbers, do everything, whatever, get all the stats and everything, and then they'll shoot it back over to the public side. Now they have the data. Now we can, put that in committee. Now we can hash that in committee to see if we need to legislate behind this, yay or nay. Islam? That's what a think tank is. So, like I said, in the More Science of America, we have Ali's Men. Ali's Men does a lot of great work in the sense of, historically, politically, getting behind certain candidates around the country and stuff like that, getting them elected to office. When it's successful, seeing how that was done, and taking that particular template and sending it to other temples, whatever, so they can see what was successfully done. What was successfully done, you don't have to take it and reinvent the wheel. You take the template of how that was done, and you fulfill it. Islam. But this is the side of governance, that we have to get used to. We have to take our best and our brightest minds, and we have to make those best and brightest minds work for us. Islam. You have to make it work for nation and kind. So a lot of this, praise Allah for the the template that is More Science Temple of America, because we get to praise Allah more, because without that, what would we have? You know what I'm saying? Like, in other words, like, take President Obama. Former President Obama, he didn't just, you don't just become community leader, one-term senator, then president. That doesn't happen unless you were groomed, right? One of his mentors' name was Zbigniew Brzezinski, right? Zbigniew Brzezinski was founder of Trilateral Commission. Trilateral Commission is a international think tank that works on behalf of the U.S. and other foreign governments, so on and so forth, right? Brzezinski basically kind of molded President Obama in the sense of his international policies and stuff like that, before he became president. So they already had a bond, and that helped him unfold. So if you notice, when the brother got behind the podium, there was no stutters, it was completely pressed, which goes to show that there was an unfoldment before that. See, in the More Science Temple of America, when you're asked to come up and demonstrate, you use that as an opportunity, to work out all the kinks in your demonstration, because you never know. You might be called upon to demonstrate in government one day. Islam? And you don't wait until you get in front of, people that have been in politics for years to, figure out how it's done. No, you work it out, in your smaller settings. Islam? All right? Within your own think tank, so on and so forth. So, again, praise Allah for this More Science Temple of America, because not only do we have, an institution where we can get our character right, we have an institution where we can learn the national side, and we can learn what it is, to be a citizen and what citizenship is, because again, part of the birthright theft was the removal of the fact that you could be a citizen, right? And the fact that a lot of, in the earlier part of this country, your forefathers started off as citizens and dealt with the voting and the development of the Constitution and all that. So from the very outset, you were part and parcel of the said government. Islam Moors? Right? Does anybody have any questions?
Islam Moor.
Islam, Brother Chairman.
Arise, having Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the highest of praise and the highest of honors to his holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Islam.
Islam.
I want you to, if you could, for the sake of clarity, there's a difference between free national and what the prophet listed in the Moorish literature, because free national is lowercase. Would you be able to expound on that?
Sure. So, let's go back. Let's go back to the record. Again, I'll just take it from the top and just blow through. Our divine and national movement stands for the specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And our prophet am applying to all free, loyal, faithful Moors, members, and American citizens to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplifting our fallen humanity among the Asiatic race and nation. For I have suffered much and severely in the past with a misunderstanding of what the movement is dedicated to. It is the great God Allah alone that guides the destiny of this divine and national movement. I know all true American citizens identified by the national descent names to answer up to and apply to the free national constitution of this free national republic of the United States of America. That is why I'm calling upon all true national citizens to help me morally and financially in my great uplifting work I am doing in this national government. For without a free national name and with a national descent flag of your forefathers, there is not a national divine title of the government in which we live. This is from your true and divine prophet unto all American and foreign sympathizers, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So your free national name and free national constitution are one and the same. The free national name deals with your aspect of you being an American citizen, right? The charter, right, that governs that is the United States of America Constitution. Islam, that is the guidelines of what entails what the citizenry of being an American citizen is all about. Like the apportionment, who qualifies to be a citizen, right? When something, real quick, the 3/5 of a person, what is that dealing with?
The vote.
You said the vote?
Yeah.
Exactly, but what sense?
The amount of your, basically the consideration of your vote. So
right.
If you voted, the general. Do I need to rise?
You're on the right path.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay, so from my understanding, 3/5 were
You actually answered it already.
yeah.
The consideration of the vote, which is the apportionment or how votes are allocated throughout the citizenry. So instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 4 votes here, right? If I divide, you say this is not a whole human being. Now I've divided the vote. Thus I've weakened the vote. That's not even up for consideration. The prophet once taught, and the Moorish elders continued it. It said, in the deliberation of nations, no consideration is given to someone that is not a part of a nation. So if you don't belong to a nation, no consideration is given to you at all. So now the free national constitution deals with the charter, of the free national citizens, and the free national name is American, and the national descent name is your descent line, or your, the ethnicity basically. So in our case, that would be Moorish.
Okay.
Right.
Islam.
Yes.
Where I got tied up was the 3/5. So is it like it takes three persons to be a
It would take almost like 2 Europeans to equal.
Okay.
Exactly. Well, 2 Asiatics to equal 1 European.
Okay. So yeah, that was the
3. 3. Thank you.
that was the kicking point.
Yeah. So that's But again, more homework. The term apportionment. You get a breakdown on that, and you'll be able to see, what that is. But again, does that help out more? Be more specific with your question.
Specific, our prophet used, when he said free national, they were in lowercase. That sometimes gets confused with the free national movement. And so that's what I was referring to with, you know, there's a free national movement that went on, and I believe in like Barbados and somewhere in the West Indies, that Moorish Americans or Asiatics, they get confused, thinking that that's the movement that we are to, that is how we're supposed to move as Moorish Americans. When our prophet said free national, he was literally saying this is a free national government, not the organization being free national.
Which, if he was referencing the government, it would have been a capital letters. You see what I'm saying? And something similar to the usage of the term Ethiopia. You know, there was an Ethiopian movement around that time, so he was addressing that at that time. Islam. Anyone else? Any questions? Comments, concerns, statements? Islam. And with that, I'll lower the meeting. Islam? Islam. Islam? Islam. 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 The Moorish Science Temple of America, a Noble Drew Ali founder, home office, Chicago, Illinois, March 11th, 1929. A warning from the Prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitated speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam?
Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
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 All praise is due to Allah and the highest of honors, to his holy divine prophet, Drew Ali. Islam, Moors?
Islam.
All right. In closing, I'd like to part off with a question. It's a question I'd like to answer, so it's not rhetorical. Pick on the brothers for a little bit. If I were to pose the question, what do you expect out of your membership or affiliation with the Moorish Science Temple of America? How would you answer? Again, what would you expect out of your membership or affiliation with the Moorish Science Temple of America? Islam.
Islam, arise, giving the most high praise to Allah, and the highest of honors to his noble and divine prophet, Drew Ali.
Islam, you recognize it?
Islam. I expect clarity.
Okay.
That's it. Everything else is upon me. But clarity and maybe direction. But clarity more than anything else.
Praise Allah. Anyone else? Brother Kyle, I know you got something for me. Stop that.
I'm at a loss for words. I rise, giving all praises to Allah, the great God of the universe, and highest honors to his holy divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali.
Islam, right now.
What I would expect, as far as just as membership, for myself, is being able to, have people around me that, that can hold me accountable, and things of that nature at the most part. Just having that good wall or foundation and stuff like that, to where, one can develop from, coming from the idea, color, black, Negro, that whole state of mind, and really just trying to transition into just a whole other person.
Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Are visible? Sir. Arise. 5 to the left. 2 to the right. Arise.
Arise,
Giving all praises
giving all praise
to Allah
to Allah
and the highest of honors
and the highest of honor
to his holy prophet,
to his holy prophet.
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Islam.
I seek to gain clarity as well. I seek to build a foundation with people of my descent. just be amongst people and actually build more character, feel safe amongst my own people, and free to be myself. Learn my own history, learn how to present myself amongst my people, and actually build a civilization where we're free to be amongst ourselves and actually be the people that we're supposed to be. With safety, clear governance, our own education, just the power to be everything that we can be. Without anything holding us back, nobody having ill intent. Just free to be.
Islam. Praise Allah. You just described what the Prophet called the abode of peace. Islam. To the letter. Islam. Brother Charles.
I rise, giving all praise due to Allah, through His holy prophet, Noble Drali.
Islam.
With me being in the temple, it's humbling. To be around our people that's positive and uplifting and, genuine about it. Just learning more about ourselves and how we can make our condition better for ourselves, for the ones out there too. And like you said, Brother Khaled, keeping us accountable for our actions. It's a mirror image. So it's a great movement.
Praise Allah. And the reason why I asked the question, the chairman put a thought on my mind earlier in the week. He was discussing when he went to the city council meeting here in Atlanta, City of Atlanta City Council. And he said, and I don't want to slap up your measurement, but if I remember, in an area that seated about 125, is that correct? There were 10 citizens present?
Yeah,
10 citizens, right? And the amount of ordinances and statutes and everything was passed through, without any form of pushback from the citizens was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And when you talk about, and I don't know if this was covered earlier, if it was, part 7, but the amount of finance that was pushed through, you're talking about.
Yeah, it was million.
How many millions would you say? I'll freestyle a number because the brother's on post. I'll say it might have been about between 50 and 70 million. Might have been approved sent through without any objection from the citizens at all. Without even a question from the citizens. And I might be humble on the number, it might be more than that. All right? But the point is that, and even if you did have the presence from the citizenry, if they're not groomed in terms of what to expect from government, what the expectations are of being a citizen of the city of Atlanta, right? Then the allocation of their tax dollars will go for whatever those who understand what government is. You know what I mean? So here in the More Shine Temple of America, it's very important for us to know why we're here, right? And to know that the things that we want out of this movement are the things that we have to put in. You know what I'm saying? So if we seek clarity, we have to be clear on, our intentions and communications, what we want. You know what I'm saying? If we want the abode of peace and stuff like that, we have to labor. It's going to take some friction, but we have to work to get to be that. Because 9 times out of 10, like I said, our people generally don't come from that. So to create that, we have to literally be living by the spirit and the letter of the record. What's in our Quran, Islam, and all the other previous records, all true and divine records, right? So from time to time, I like to do that because all too often the sheiks get up here, myself included, and we just get up and give our demonstration and lower the beat, and that's it, right? But we have to get to the point where we hear from you all, because if we don't hear from you, we don't know what if you're waxing strong and with the prophet work, or you're actually waning, and falling away from the truth, because we've developed a good poker face. So looking at you, sometimes I can't tell, right? So I'll just ask the question, like, what are you feeling? How, what's going on with you? Are we good? If not, then, what's up? You see? Just so we can get to the point where we get on a common page, all right? And once we get on that common page, then, we go out to our people, it's clear. Islam orders?
Islam.
All right? And with that, we're closing. We began. Everyone please rise. Face the east, right ahead you. Stand on your square, on your 45, 5 on the left, 2 on the right. Invoking the sacred presence of 7 Elohim that created everything that ever was, is, or evermore to be. For our visitors, please adopt a position of prayer that's comfortable for you and give homage to our collective creator. Please repeat after me. Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe,
the Father of the
the
universe,
Father of love,
the Father of love,
truth, peace, freedom,
and
justice.
justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide, and my salvation, by night, and by day. Through His holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Amen.
Islam, Moors.
Islam.
Islam, Moors.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salat.